Hey everybody, this is your commissioner speaking. We're about a quarter of the way through the season. Week 4 just concluded. So I was just going to go through some of the games that have already taken place, give a little recap for each game. We'll go through some of the trades that have happened, what I predict will happen this week, and then where everybody's at in the standings. So just a fun little way of kind of wrapping everything up for the first quarter. Week 1, we'll start with that. Myself against Dave. Dave only scored 79 points. However, he still ended up beating me by 30. So that was awesome. I did not have a great performance. Philip Rivers got me 10 points. Other than that, nobody got me double digits. Cam versus Jessica. Cam got a good performance from Cutler and DeMarco Murray, who's been doing really well this year. 49ers gave him 18 points. And for Jessica, Le'Veon, Antonio, and Vernon all did well. But when you only get 11 from Aaron Rodgers, it's going to be tough to win. Justin versus Nate was the first battle of the brothers this season. There are only 2 sets of brothers, so not everybody can participate. But in the first battle of the brothers, Justin didn't get a lot of help from his guys. Nate got a ton of help from Kaepernick and Calvin Johnson. Gave him a huge victory of 39 points. Tyler versus Kirk. Sickinga got a huge game from Stafford with 33 points. I was loving that against the Giants on that Monday Night Football game. Everyone else seemed to struggle on his team, though. Kirk lost Jordan Reed right away. Still managed to squeak away with a 6-point victory, though. In Rick versus Micah in that matchup, he has a very evenly distributed team. Rick does. He got 86 points, but Micah got a huge lift from Russell Wilson, Randall Cobb, Jeremy Maclin, Base Mode, and Orange Julius Thomas. And Rick didn't really stand a chance, unfortunately, when you have all those guys in your team and they're all playing well. Tony versus Evan. Tony had a strong team, still does. He has a different QB then. I think he played Hoyer. He did okay. You got C.J. Spiller and Brandon Marshall who did well, and he got a huge boost from Greg Olsen and Cordarrelle Patterson. Evan didn't do too bad, but didn't get enough from Doug Martin or either of his receivers, so he lost there. Week 2, myself against Cam. RG3 bailed me out. He went down, gave Cam only 3 points in the quarterback slot, so it came down on Monday Night Football game. Reggie Wayne had to score 10 to tie. Couldn't quite give Cam enough, so I got lucky with a win there. Sorry, Cam. Dave against Justin. Justin squeaks by Dave. Just had a 2-point victory. Part of that was Justin getting 14 points from his kicker and 14 from his defense. But 95-93, that's a damn close game. Jessica against Nate. Jessica got her first win of her career in this league, so congrats there. She scored 111 points, which pretty much came entirely from Aaron Rodgers, Darren Sproles, and Antonio Brown, and the Ravens' defense. Crazy to think Nate's defense scored 20, and he still lost by 17. Rick against Tyler. Tyler got a big game from Des Bryant, Sammy Watkins, and his kicker and his defense, along with a huge game from Antonio Gates. Even though Gio and the Pats defense gave Rick over 20 points each, Tyler still got a big win there. Kirk against Tony. Brandon Marshall saved Tony. He gave him 22 points. He wasn't even supposed to play that week, but Tony still managed to win. Kirk got 27 from Peyton, and even though it was probably the only week that Tony won't score under 400 points, Tony still got the win. Micah against Evan. No Sean Moreno goes on in his first carry, so can't really help out Micah there. If he stayed in the game, you never know what would have happened. Maybe Micah gets the win then, who knows. But Evan gets an ugly win. Evan's kicker got him 15, but other than that, there's not a ton of highlights from there. Week 3, you got myself against Justin. I had a huge game from Philip Rivers, but unfortunately Drew Brees one-upped him. Literally, he got 1 more point than Philip Rivers. Chris Ivory on that Monday night game got Justin enough to win the game, but it was close. It was a nail-biter. It was a tough loss to last year's champion, so can't be too mad there. Nate against Cam. Tough loss for Cam. It seems like every week he plays somebody, that person just happens to go off. They have 3 players that just dominate. In that week, it was Julio Jones and Rashad Jennings combined for 51 points. Tough to win any game when the opponent's backup wide receivers or wide receiver 2 and their flex spot score that much. Jessica against Dave. Tough week. Ron Rodgers got only 12 points. Sproles only gets 3. And Andre Johnson gets 2. And then Kyle Rudolph goes down with only 2 points. Your flex only gets 4. And then Dave's quarterback gets 39. Andrew Luck is just killing it this year. Tyler against Tony. Tyler had a rough week. He got only 3 points from Stafford, 1 point from Lacey, 1 from Watkins, a dud from Gates. Kirk Cousins just goes off and gets 33. Miles Davis gets 17, so Tony rolls past Tyler. Evan against Rick. Nick Foles goes off for 32. Not enough, though, for Rick's team. Although they've struggled, again, probably the most well-balanced team in the league. So Rick got the first win of the season in Week 3. Micah against Kirk. Micah put the smack down on Kirk. He got 25 from Wilson, 24 from base mode, 21 from Macklin, 13 from Bradshaw, 15 from kicker, 12 from defense. You can go on and on. Micah just had a great team that week. Kirk had Peyton, but outside of that, didn't get a ton of production. And that brings us to this last week. I played Nate, put a spanking on him, won by 35. Phillip Rivers and Travis Kelce were my top players. I feel a little bad for Nate since they said Calvin wasn't active, but in reality he wasn't. He only got a point. He was barely playing that game, so that sucks. But as a Lions fan, I hope Calvin's back soon. Justin against Jessica. Jessica's team went to work. 36 from Aaron, 25 from Antonio Brown, 17 from the damn kicker. Justin, meanwhile, didn't get much help from his guys. Garcon, Reggie, and Arian didn't produce, so he gets a loss there. Cam against Dave. Cam yet again gets matched up against a tough opponent. Dave's team's been cruising. Forte gets 16, Jordy gets 22, Luck gets 37, the damn kicker gets 18. Believe it or not, Cam, had you played Tannehill, who wasn't even supposed to play the starter, wasn't even supposed to be the starter that week, you would have tied. So that might be a tough one to swallow. Evan versus Tyler. Tyler wins by 50-7. Holy crap. I think Nick Foles is overrated, so I'm not super surprised that he only got 3, but I'm really surprised at LaShawn McCoy's performance this year. Evan, if you weren't a Philly fan, I might try to trade for him, but we all know you are, so it's going to be a tough trade there. And Tyler got production out of just about everyone. Tony versus Micah, huge battle there. Micah beats the undefeated Tony. Jamal Charles had a huge game for Tony, though, even though I just traded him away. But other than that, nothing much. And Mike had a big performance from Matt Ryan and Randall Cobb, kind of saved him there. Rick against Kirk. Kirk puts a licking on Rick by about 30. I can't believe Frank Gore did that well for Rick, but Tom Brady struggled, as we saw on Monday night against the Chiefs. Pat's D struggled. And Kirk got huge value from Romo, Asiata, and goddamn Larry Donnell, who he picked up. Just doing a quick recap of the trades that have happened so far this season. Sikinga traded Noshawn Reno to Micah for Marquise Lee. They're both injured, so that's a wash. Jessica traded Jason Witten and James Jones to Dave for Antonio Brown and Kyle Rudolph. Antonio Brown is doing a lot better than I thought he would have, but Dave got rid of Kyle Rudolph, who's now injured, so not as bad, I think, as you originally think there. I traded Eric Decker and Hakeem Nicks to Justin for Roddy White. A few weeks later, since my wide receivers were doing pretty well, I needed help at tight end. I traded Roddy to Rick for Gronkowski. It's a bit of a risk just because of Gronkowski's health issues, but I like that trade for me if Gronkowski can stay healthy. Kirk has been off the boards with trades. I traded Gio Bernard and Doug Baldwin to Rick for Shane Vereen and Wes Welker. I thought Kirk should have kept Gio, but both sides were happy with the trade. And once Wes gets back into form, maybe it'll work out for you. Micah traded Ahmad Bradshaw to Evan for Brian Quick, which I thought was crazy. Ahmad Bradshaw, a huge pickup, and to trade it for Brian, or to get Ahmad Bradshaw for Brian Quick. I thought Micah came away with that one since he was getting Ahmad Bradshaw. He came away with the upper hand. But we'll see. Brian Quick is really the go-to guy in St. Louis, so maybe that'll work out for Evan. Pretty big trade. I traded Jamal Charles to Tony for Adrian Peterson and a second-round pick next year. To answer a few of the questions I got from you guys, no, I'm not giving up on this season. I'm not playing for next year. But I did okay without Jamal so far this year. And, he's pretty hit or miss. And, to get Adrian Peterson as a keeper for next year when I'm not sure I would have kept Jamal anyways. Along with that, Tony is holding on to Josh Gordon, and that'll be his keeper. So he doesn't really need to keep Jamal Charles. So he's giving up his second round again. So it works out for both of us, I think. Obviously, there will be some weeks where I cringe, like this last week when Jamal got 28. But overall, I think it'll help me out. And Blockbuster Trade Alert, Jessica making moves, traded Le'Veon Bell in her 7th round to Kirk for Niles Paul, Seattle defense, Peyton Manning, and a 6th round pick. So Kirk pretty much gives up the farm, but you know what? If you take a step back and look at it, he's got a good backup in Tony Romo. Tony Romo just went off this week. He picked up Larry Donnell, who's pretty good, and if Niles Paul is injured, maybe it ended up being a pro for him anyways. And defenses typically don't have a huge difference. Every week you're going to find that each defense scores a different amount. So it actually might work out. Plus, Kirk's going to have a keeper in Le'Veon for next year. I don't think he wanted to keep Peyton anyways. So I think trading for a keeper is definitely going to benefit him. So I think Jessica got the better deal, but it's not as bad as some people are portraying it to be. And you know what? Kirk scored a ton of points last week, so maybe we should start calling him Adam Schefter. Just a couple predictions next week. Battle of the Brothers Part 2. It's myself against Kirk. Kirk's going to win. Definitely. I get Demarius back, but he's been struggling. Plus, I'm hurting in a couple of positions, and it seems as though all of my guys are playing really tough defenses, or Kirk's going to have some relaxed defenses that he gets to go against. Evan against Cam. I think Evan's going to win simply because of the fact that whoever Cam is playing scores about 1,000 points, and Cam can't match it. So, unfortunately for Cam, I'm giving Evan the win. Tony versus Dave. The battle of what appears to be maybe the two best teams, potentially. This is a great matchup, but because Tony has a little bit deeper bench, he has a little bit more guys he can go to, just based on bye weeks, and in case later on this week we find out a couple of guys are injured. Bench is a little bit deeper. I'll give him the edge. Nate against Justin. Play each other again already, so I guess we'll give you guys Battle of the Brothers Part 3. That's 6. 3, just one of them. I'm going with Nate. He probably has the best receiver tandem in our league, the best receiving core. So I'll probably go with Nate again on this one. Tyler against Micah. I have no confidence in Eddie Lacy, Lorenzo Talafiero or whatever. Steve Smith isn't playing Carolina. Plus Micah's got beast mode coming back, so I give Micah the nod there. And Rick against Jessica. Jessica's team has been cruising. Rick's got some quarterback issues. Tom Brady and Cam Newton just not quite doing as well as people would have projected. So I'll give Jessica the win there. And finally, we'll look at the standings. We got 6 teams that are 2-2, so this is a very even year this year, I think, compared to most. Rick, Cam, and Evan rounding out the bottom of the standings. Rick 1-3 in the East, and then in the West you have Cam and Evan both 1-3. So you guys get this. And so that would leave Jessica, Justin, and myself in the East at 2-2. In the West, you have Nate, Tyler, and Kirk, who are 2-2. And then in the East, you have Dave 3-1, Tony 3-1, and in the West, you have Micah 3-1. So you guys get this. Fucked up the lyrics a little bit there. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll probably do a one halfway through the season 2. We'll do this just kind of every quarter type of thing. I know there's 17 games, but we'll do this every quarter or so if you guys are interested in it. Won't be as long next time. I understand that this one's going a little bit long. Won't be as bad next time because we don't have to go through all the pre-season trades and the pre-season crap. I'll also probably put out a video of I got our draft board here. Probably go through that. I don't know if you guys have looked through that. I looked through it recently. Crazy to think who some of us drafted and where, especially myself. So we'll probably do that in one of the episodes. We'll call them episodes. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Feel free to let me know if you want anything else. You want me to talk about anything else, go through anything else. But hopefully you enjoyed it. This is the Commissioner, and I'm out.